Chapter 10. Oh, my head. The doctor forced his eyelids open to find Okla looking at him in concern. Take it easy, Doctor. You're still very weak, said the Silurian. Very weak? That's the understatement of the year. I haven't felt this bad since I went out on the town with Oscar Wilde. He shook his head, trying to clear his blurred vision. Hang on a mo. I should be dead, shouldn't I? I thought that Silurian venom was deadly. Not the venom of young Silurians, explained Okla. It takes time for the venom sacs to reach full strength. You were lucky. Really? Said the doctor groggily. So this is what lucky feels like, is it? If this is lucky, then I can do without being lucky ever again. He gave a deep sigh and glared at Okla. What is it with the youth of today? First Lizzie and now Partok. Is it only the adults who can behave like adults? He shook his head. How long have I been out? Okla shrugged. An hour, maybe more. An hour? I don't have time to be lying around here for an hour. The doctor clambered to his feet, swaying unsteadily. He looked around at the scientists working calmly at the machinery in the control room. Where are our sea devil friends? General Veldak is leading his troops. The doctor turned to find that Partok was watching him with interest. You must be stronger than you look, human, she went on. I thought that I had killed you. Well, I'm not human, and you youngsters do tend to overestimate your abilities. Partok bristled. Careful, Doctor. I have told the General to leave most of the apes alive on the surface. It will make their escape look more convincing. But I can always change those orders. Yes, you probably can, said the doctor sadly. You don't need to do this, Partok. I can make this right, you know. The young Silurian ignored him and unclipped a communicator from her belt. General, are you ready to start your attack? Yes, Partok. As Partok turned away, the doctor's eye dropped to the whistle-like device at her belt. The Merca control, he muttered to himself. Careful to conceal what he was doing, he rummaged in his pocket for his sonic screwdriver. As he did so, his fingers touched something else. It was the trigger device he had taken from Lizzie. A smile flickered across the doctor's lips. What are you up to, Doctor? Whispered Okla. If my daughter suspects anything. The doctor grinned at him. I know how to stop her. You'd better cover your ears, Okla. It's going to get noisy around here. Veldak turned off his communicator and watched as the last of the barrels of fire ice was loaded onto one of the human machines. A small convoy of vehicles was now lined up on the ice, ready to make the journey to the coast. Each vehicle was guarded by two of the human soldiers. Veldak had fought in enough battles to tell that each man was on a knife edge. He glanced at his own soldiers. They too were alert and ready for his signal. The sea devil allowed himself a smile of satisfaction. They had been too long frozen in the ice. It was good to be in battle once more. He raised the disc of his heat weapon and took careful aim at the human soldier nearest to him. His task was only to drive the humans away and make it look as though they had escaped. He had been instructed to keep injuries to a minimum. He hissed in disgust. There was a time when they hunted the human apes freely, but he was a soldier, and this was war. Casualties were inevitable. He pressed the trigger, sending a blast of super-concentrated heat streaming towards the convoy. There was a brief, intense burst of flame, and a soldier was turned into a pillar of fire. At once there was mayhem. The human soldiers dived for cover, opening fire with their weapons. Others tried to help their burning colleague. At the same time, Veldak's troops surged from their holes in the ice, falling snow turning to steam as it landed on their heated armour. The air was filled with the charring smell of the heat guns and the whine of bullets. Veldak's turtle-like lips pulled back in a contented smile. Advance, he hissed. Lizzie had watched in horror as the lizard things started their attack. They emerged from nowhere, taking the Navy completely by surprise. Within moments, though, the troops had taken up defensive positions. Now a vicious battle raged out on the ice. As they desperately tried to hold the creatures back, she could see the civilian members of the crew making a dash for the convoy of tractors. In the distance, she could see the technicians preparing Pelham's helicopter to leave. All this time she'd been worried about what Pelham was going to do with her. Suddenly it was obvious. He was just going to leave her behind. "Hey!" bellowed Lizzie, banging on the glass. "Wait! I'm still locked up in here! Don't forget about me!" A searing beam of heat suddenly blasted through the window. Glass flew everywhere, and Lizzie was hurled to the ground. A jagged hole had been blasted in the wall. There was a choking, burning smell as the walls of the storeroom charred and blistered. Icy wind swept through the hole. As she staggered to her feet, Lizzie realized that this was her chance to escape. She struggled into one of the heavy fur-lined parkas that hung by the door, then scrambled out through the side of the storeroom and into the freezing air. As she stumbled away from the base, Lizzie realized that she was probably no safer outside. The air was filled with the zing of bullets and the harsh buzz of heat guns. The air was filled with the zing of bullets and the harsh buzz of heat guns. There was a blast of an explosion as one of the soldiers hurled a grenade at the advancing lizard men. Lizzie waded through thigh-deep snow, desperate to find a place of safety. As she rounded the corner of the building, a tall shadow loomed over her. Lizzie stared up in horror as a sea devil raised its heat gun.